Okay, so we're going to go into health. So, very, very misunderstood thing here, boys. This is your body's top priority. That's a cliche, but biologically, this is how we're wired. Our brain and our central nervous system, they're much more geared towards our internal well-being and tissue health than throwing a baseball, okay? So, the better you facilitate health, the better that you're going to create an environment for your body to allow you to maximize essentially the amount of torque and velocity you can create, all right? And this is what I was speaking on earlier, is a lot of guys think health is just injury or no injury, but the same stuff that dictates health also dictates performance, and that's where we're going to get to. So this is how it works, and this is essentially the equation that we're going to balance throughout your entire time here. So it's going to be okay? Strength on tissue, or strength of tissue, and stress placed on that tissue, okay? Now, the way I'm going to be talking about this is probably not in your, I guess, typical vocabulary on a day-to-day, which is why we're talking about it, because the stuff underneath the surface, fellas, nobody talks about it, and essentially that's what you're trying to manipulate. So if you don't understand it, it's a problem, a big problem. So when this exceeds this, okay, that's when you perceive tightness or dead arm or decreased velocity or discomfort. It's because the stress that's placed on that tissue, and you place a ton of it on a day-to-day basis, exceeds essentially what that tissue can handle. So if we can better manage this equation, you're going to give yourself a better opportunity to perform on a daily basis the way you want to upon game time, okay? Now, who can tell me what tissue inside the body has the largest influence on this equation? Anybody know tissues of the body? It's an easy one. Huh?
Ligaments?
What? Organs?
I'm saying ligaments.
Ligaments. Think, what's our active system? Muscle. Okay. So the functionality of your muscular system is going to have the largest influence on this equation, which is everything as far as your physical capabilities are concerned, health and performance. Anybody know the main function of a muscle? What's it like primitively, baseline level? What's it designed to do?
Contract.
Contract, very good. Shorten, okay, and the product of those two are going to produce tension. They're tension producers. That's all they're designed to do. Anytime you move, anytime you throw and you're asking your body to support itself, you're essentially asking your muscular system to operate in an efficient manner to generate tension and support your skeleton and joint system. That's how it works, okay? Now, we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna draw a little picture here. We're gonna like scrape the surface of some muscle physiology for like 1 minute, and at the very least, you just come away with an understanding of what your body's trying to do at that level and how it works. Okay, this is a muscle, okay? So, generally speaking, you have two categories of muscle fibers. You got your extrafusal fibers and your intrafusal fibers, okay? Now, your intrafusal fibers, these are like your slow twitch, type 1, oxidative. They're responsible for tissue quality, flexibility, stretch reflex. Think of these as like your recon team, okay? If you're thinking like military. Your recon team essentially gathers the intel, it sends it back to the general. So what they do is whenever you're asking your body to do something like throw, these guys send a signal to your brain and spinal cord. Your brain and spinal cord perceive what's going on, and they say, all right, we gotta come up with a solution to what's happening. That's when your extrafusal fibers, or your enforcer team, which is essentially your go team that carry out what you're asking your body to do, they get the signal, everything contracts, okay? Now, the strength of each one of these little muscle fibers inside your body, infinite number, the strength of each one relative to the stress you're asking your body to take on is going to dictate this process. The better this process is carried out, the healthier you're going to be, the more supported you're going to be, and each time you throw, the more likely you are to kind of hit your velocity ceiling, assuming you got your mechanics at play and your timing at play. Okay? Anybody have any questions with that so far?
I'll bring up one point. So a lot of you guys I've observed over the last 7 to 10 days, you're working out here and you're prepping before the game, you're getting your throwing, you're doing so much extra stuff to your shoulder, to your elbow, in your mind you're thinking I'm preparing it, but in essence you're really slowing down the rate of what those muscles can contract. You just gotta let it recover and kind of get back online. Because you guys are programmed, I have to do more to expedite my recovery. But you're not letting your muscular system actually do its innate natural job. Okay, and that's kind of where we're here.
The things that are in line with this process here, guys, what most of you do don't even make sense. You do it out of habit, you do it because you've been doing it for so long, and you're like, man, this sensation, I feel good with it because it becomes habit, and so you try to replicate it. Maybe taking a step back and asking, well, how does this relate to the stuff that actually matters? I'm gonna, we can poke holes in a lot of stuff. But once again, it's up to you to be able to step back and be like, can I replicate this sensation of feeling ready without doing something that maybe is getting in the way? And that's what Justin's talking about. Okay, now let's go back to this body weight thing really quick. What happens sometimes when you strengthen a muscle fiber? What does it do?
Breaks down.
Okay, it breaks down, but then what happens at the end?
Builds up.
Builds up, gets bigger, body weight goes up, okay? Now, we'll do a little example here. So let's say I have a slingshot here, right? And let's say I'm about to launch something off of this. What are some ways, based on everything we've covered, that would dictate how far an object would go or the exit speed in which it would go? So remember, the consistency of this band, I can't change the elasticity. It is what it is. This is the band I was given. Just like your muscular system is what you were given. So we can't change that. Well, some things I can do that are going to affect the velocity of this object I'm about to launch. All right, leverage, boom. Timing of the way that I release this at the point at maximum leverage, that's also going to have an effect. Leverage and timing. What's the last piece? Huh?
Depending on the Sharpie. Depending on where it's releasing from.
Okay, all right, let's think maybe not so specific, a little broader. What's something that happens at the base here? Okay.
You could add more rubber bands.
Think about this. If I pull back with maximum leverage at whatever length that is, if my support down here, if the strength of my hand can't essentially keep this object stable, then it's going to affect the amount that I can basically release the object, okay? So think of this part down here representing your joint system. You got oodles of joints in your body, and each time, anytime you move or throw, essentially you're asking your joint to sustain the amount of force you're asking to put on, okay? So if you create more leverage, more velocity, you got to make sure your joint system is supported, your muscles are strong enough to support that, okay? Now, this is why body weight doesn't always make sense here. So let's say at my maximum leverage piece, let's say I need 100 pounds of force down here to essentially take the burden of what I can produce. Remember, what I can produce is max, like I got a ceiling on that. Now, if 100 pounds here is all I need, 150 pounds doesn't necessarily do me anything extra. I get bigger, I may deadlift more, I may bench press more, but the point at which it starts to translate to velocity is capped off because I'm already at 100 pounds. So like Brenner, for example, Brenner left this off season, put on 5 pounds of muscle, came back and
How much did you put on? 5?
look, you look bigger.
Yeah, you look
So
stronger.
in the right places. Anyway, he came back, gained 2 to 3 miles per hour. Now he's gonna say it was because of his weighted balls, but if you took away the weighted balls, assuming it's sustainable, he's not gonna lose that velo. If he lost his 5 pounds of muscle and decreased his support down here at the joint level, he's gonna lose it. That's how I know it's because of strength and body weight, and not so much anything else. Now, comparison to, let's take a gainer. Gainer, how much weight did you put on this off season, you're telling me? 12 pounds, right? Came back, kind of the same dude, 87 to 89. So what's the difference? Well, Gainer was already at 100 pounds down here. He was already good. Brenner wasn't. Brenner had room to improve. Gainer's the guy who's pretty diligent with his stuff. He already added the stimulus for it. He was there. Brenner wasn't. DeShazer went away, lost 20 pounds, right? Lost some velo. So what happened? It's not just his body weight went down, but he lost some of his muscular strength. Less support, less velo. Less support, less velo. More support, you create a better environment for health, and you better balance this equation, and you can start to realize it. Now, what we're gonna do with him, we're gonna put some calories back on, give his body more of that strength it needs each time, and then genetically, and where he's at, he'll get back up. Pretty efficient guy, pretty good twitch.